Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about routines and the importance of creating them. So we're going to be talking about routines for the next couple of lessons. Part about making a routine is making the most of what you have. Okay. So this girl, Tabby Gevinson, is a busy girl. She was 12 years old and she started a fashion blog. And then at 15, she turned that blog into an online magazine that had millions of views in the first week. At 16, she campaigned for president of the United States. At 18, she started on Broadway and gave a TED Talk, and all of this while she was still going to high school. So throughout this lesson, we're going to talk and learn about how do you make the most of your resources, know how to plan your time week by week, and then understanding the difference between lasting zone and instant zone. Okay, so life is all about balance, right? So when you're in school, as you are, you need to balance your home life and your school life. And eventually, if not already, you also have to manage your work life in addition to that. So, like for example, like helping out your parents at home or your guardians at home, around the house, taking care of your siblings potentially are things that you have to do in addition to the homework that you get throughout the day for school. So it's important to know how to balance and manage your time so you are spending your time wisely and you are able to prioritize all the things that matter to you. Examples is Tabby Gevinson. She was able to do all of these things while still in school. So she had to learn how to manage her time. Okay, so we have limited time and energy during our life journey, right? So that's why the balance is important. So if you spend these precious resources wisely, you can go where you want. And if you do not, you might get stuck from time to time, okay? So one good way to think about your resources and the things you do throughout the day is to put them into two different zones. So here on the screen, we have the instant zone and the lasting zone. And the instant zone are things that are made up of things that in life that do not help you reach your goals. They do not matter very much. And they're things that make you happy right now, but will not stay. The happiness will not necessarily stay. So the lasting zone are things that you do that help you reach your goals. These things do matter and they will last. So they might not always be fun, but they will help you now and later in life. Okay. We're going to talk about some examples of both of things that fall in both of these categories and what it looks like for us day to day. These are real life situations, right? You have the instant zone and the lasting zone. So an instant zone example is like text messaging your friends until 2 a.m. So you might feel like, oh, if I go to bed now, I'm going to miss out, right? You don't want to miss out on anything, so you continue to text your friends until 2 a.m. and then you don't feel good the next day because you didn't get any sleep, right? So that's an example of an instant zone. Right now, this is what I want to do, but it doesn't necessarily help you the next day going into your school day, right? So wasting 5 hours playing video games. So video games very well might be a way that you decompress at the end of the day. It might be a good outlet for you, and that's great. But once you get to 5 hours, you got to think about all those things that you didn't get to do because you were spending all that time playing video games. So again, it's about balance. It's not to say that you can't play video games when you want to. It's just saying 5 hours is a little excessive sometimes, okay, for some people. Drinking your fourth sugary soda for the day. Okay, so in the moment, you're like, maybe you're bouncing off the walls a little bit. Maybe you need a little pick me up, and the sugar's doing it for you, or the caffeine, or whatever that is. But drinking your fourth one might be a little overkill and it might not make your body feel very good. Okay, so these are examples of things that might feel good right now, but again, don't really last. Okay, so the lasting zone, we have working out, right? So we know in the moment, you're like, sometimes it's like, oh God, I gotta work out today, I gotta run, I gotta do whatever. In the moment, we might not want to do it, right? We talked about the lasting zone being things that you don't necessarily want to do all the time. So, but once you do, and if you do it consistently, your body will ultimately feel better and you're going to be healthier overall. Doing your homework, again, you might not want to, but when you do your homework, your grades are going to show, right? They're going to improve because you're turning in the work, and it's going to show because you're doing your work, you're turning it in, your grades are going to show that, right? They're going to show that you're doing the work you need to learn the concepts in school. So overall, that's going to help you in the long run. So helping your mom around the house. Okay, this is another example. Your mom or your dad or your guardian or whoever is at home, if they need help with chores or if they need help with taking care of the other kids in the household, that's something that you're supporting your family. So that is something that not only helps in the moment, but it helps in the long term. Okay. So these are some examples. And so if you think of life as like this endless tug of war between the instant zone and the lasting zone, I mean, look at that picture. That's kind of what it feels like. Like where do I spend my time, right? So some people have no idea that they are in this tug of war, that every day, every moment, they choose which zone they're in. Successful people understand the value of the lasting zone and spend their resources on things that matter. Okay, so how do we stay in the lasting zone? Okay, there's two ways. Two ways to stay in the lasting zone. So one way is we talk about being mindful all the time, right? You're probably so tired of hearing me talk about mindfulness, okay? But it's a huge part of this. It's a huge part of everyday life, right? So finding like stopping yourself throughout the day to ask yourself what zone you're in. Like, okay, this is my third episode in a row I'm watching of a Netflix. Like maybe I should switch to something else, right? Something like checking yourself in that moment and switching it up accordingly, right? That's the mindful part of being like, where am I now? How am I feeling? How is what I'm doing making me feel? It's a great way to adjust if you need to adjust, okay? For example, if you're about to eat like a vegetable, or you have a choice between a vegetable or like a bag of hot Cheetos or something, right? You might say like, oh, I'm going to go to the lasting zone right now, and I'm going to eat this vegetable because eating a bag of hot Cheetos in the moment, like you might satisfy your craving for a snack, but there's no nutrients in those things, right? So, whereas if you have a vegetable instead that does have a nutrients that you need, they might help to improve your overall health. So if you've been watching like TV for 3 hours and you tell yourself that it's now time to move on to the lasting zone by doing something that makes you feel a little better long term. So basically developing this awareness and checking in with yourself and understanding what zone you're in throughout the day, this will help you to make adjustments, okay? And the second way is to make a schedule. So to plan your week ahead of time, okay? And this is something we're going to talk a little bit more about throughout these lessons, okay? We're going to talk about what it looks like making a schedule, okay? But those are the two ways to stay in the lasting zone, the two recommendations. So with all of that, what I want you to do now is I want you to create this chart in your journal. So just kind of make it look a little like this, just label instant zone, lasting zone, and the number underneath. And just, talk about like what are your biggest time wasters? How can you reduce them? Is it okay to spend time relaxing and doing things that help you to relax, but keeping tabs on how much you're spending on some habits? It will help you recognize when it's time to move on to something and do something differently. Okay. So what kind of activities do energize you? So these are the things I want you to think about when creating these zones. Okay. So your instant zone, these are my examples, things that I do instantly, in the moment that I think are making me feel good. Social media, staying up late on the weekends, eating sugar candy. I definitely eat way too much candy. So these are things that I have to think about. If I'm scrolling on Instagram, sometimes I find myself just like mindlessly scrolling and just thinking like I'm not even getting anything from this. It's not making me feel good. It's just a habit. So sometimes I stop myself and move on from something else. Sometimes I fully just delete the app altogether and just give myself a little bit of a break because it's, sometimes it doesn't serve me. Okay. So staying up late on the weekends, I know, and I tell people all the time, you need to sleep, try to go to sleep the same time every night so your body can regulate. Okay. It gets used to sleeping that amount of hours. And at this time, I go to bed at this time and I wake up at this time. Your body gets used to that. And that helps us sleep well throughout the week. So stay late on the weekends, probably not a good idea, but I do it anyway. And then eating too much sugar. I know that I need to cut down. Lasting zone. Things that I do on a regular basis, exercise, eat healthy, save money. These are things that I need to do more of and I need to make sure I'm prioritizing. Okay, so again, I want you to take the time in your journals, write down these little charts with these the instant zone and the lasting zone. And then if there's time left, share out with your classmates, either discuss it with the person next to you, talk about it as a class. Hopefully somebody will volunteer to share out so we can kind of make this more of a discussion. because we all are going through this, right? We all are doing things that we shouldn't be. Not that we shouldn't be. I should say that. Okay. All right, guys. Have a good day. See you next time.